Welcome, endgame fans. One of the great debates in chess is which is the more valuable minor piece, a bishop or a knight. The answer is that it depends on the circumstances. But generally, bishops are considered stronger in open positions with few pawns on the board, and especially if there are wing pawns involved. This is because the knight moves more ponderously across the board, whereas a bishop can get from one side to the other in a single move. Conversely, knights are considered stronger in closed positions, especially with pawns locked against each other. With this context in mind, the Woldsman would like to show you a truly remarkable endgame. So remarkable that to do it justice requires 2 videos. The position arose in a game played between Semyon Alapin and Richard Teichmann at the Great Ostend Tournament of 1905. This was a truly monster event, a double round robin with 14 players. So each player had to play 26 games. And it was eventually won by Maroczy. Here it's black to move, and Teichmann looks to have insurmountable difficulties. He's down a pawn, he's defending with a knight against a bishop, it's an open board, there are only a few pawns left, and they are wing pawns. So the question is, what would you play as black? What is the best plan to avoid defeat? If you'd like to study the position for a while, pause the video now. Okay, well, welcome back if you had a go at this problem. Well, the game itself continued king d6. Black tries to get his king in front of the a-pawn, envisaging that white's going to push it. White played king b5, advancing. Black carried on with his plan and went with his king to c7. The white king opposed the enemy king with king c5. And now the knight came to c6, assisting the king in attempting to block the a-pawn. Well, the only thing wrong with this sequence is the moves played. After bishop f3, Alapin's king and bishop bossed the knight, and he managed to win the game in another 21 moves. White played a3. He used his bishop's control of the light squares to stop black's king from attacking the a-pawn, while marching his own king off to the other side of the board and eventually capturing the h-pawn. You can find the score on the website chessgames.com for a demonstration of Alapin's technique from here. Teichmann, however, had a far superior defence available to him. He should have started off by playing king d5, so as to meet the advance king b5 with the knight retreat, knight to g6. And this is an incredible resource, as g6 proves to be an excellent square for the knight. Well, let's consider 3 attempts to win this position and see what happens each time. The 3 plans are, firstly, for white to push the a-pawn immediately. Secondly, white can try and prevent black's king from getting in front of the a-pawn by playing king b6. And lastly, white could try to drive the knight away from g6 immediately by playing bishop d3. So let's consider the first of these plans, pushing the a-pawn, a4. Well, black plays king d6, aiming to get in front of the pawn. White keeps pushing. Black goes king c7. The white king opposes. Black plays king b7. The white king heads off to the other side of the board, and the black king settles down in front of the pawn on a7. Well, now we can see why the knight stands so well on g6. There's a force field around white's king. The squares e5 and e7 are protected directly, and the squares d5 and e6 indirectly because of the effect of a fork. Black has knight f4 check, forking the king and bishop. Knights have the ability to generate force fields, and when you're defending with knight against bishop, it's a good idea to look out for opportunities to establish these force fields, usually around the opponent's king. Now, if white tries to break the force field with bishop d3, then black has knight f4. The bishop falls back to f1 to defend the h-pawn, but black captures it anyway. Knight takes h3. Because after bishop takes h3, king a6, black succeeds in eliminating the last pawn, and the game is a draw. Okay, so pushing the a-pawn fails to win. So let's consider the second option, that of preventing black's king from getting in front of the a-pawn. King b6. Black responds by opposing the enemy king with king d6. And now white pushes a4. And black's response to this move is to play knight f4, attacking the bishop and the h-pawn. Note how the knight is refusing to be bossed in this ending and goes on to the attack. Well, unfortunately, if white carries on pushing the pawn, then the knight is in time to catch it. Let's just verify this. a5, knight takes bishop, a6, knight c3, a7, and now there's a very handy and important check, knight d5 check. And next move, knight c7, will catch the pawn. So instead, white must fall back to f1 again with his bishop. Black gives a check, knight d5 check. The white king goes to b7, hoping to shepherd the pawn home. The knight comes to b4. White pushes a5. And now black plays the important move, king to c5. Well, there's nothing better here than to push the pawn. If white plays king c7, then black can just check with knight d5, which will hold. So at some point white will have to play a6, but as soon as he does, black has the resource knight takes a6. And however white recaptures the knight, the game is a draw. And the reason is that white is left with an h-pawn, and the queening square, h8, is the opposite colour to the light squared bishop. And this means that the game is a theoretical draw. So the second plan also fails to win. So the only thing left to consider is the third plan, that of driving the knight away from the g6 square. Bishop d3. The knight hops on to the familiar square f4. And the bishop has got to stay on the f1 a6 diagonal, because otherwise the black king will be able to approach the a pawn. So bishop f5 is no good. He has to play bishop f1. Black plays king d6, aiming to put his king in front of the pawn. And we've already established that preventing this with king b6 is not going to work, because black will end up sacrificing his knight for the a pawn. So instead white pushes a4. Black carries on with the plan, king c7. White opposes kings, king c5. Black plays king b7. Now if white plays king d6, then black will be able to occupy the square b6 with his king, preventing the advance of the a pawn. So white must play a5. And black's response is to put his king on a safe square in front of the pawn, king a7. And now there's just no way for white to make any further progress. The problem is that if the white king moves further away from the a pawn, black can just play knight takes h3. And if white takes the knight, bishop takes h3, king a6 will round up the last pawn on the board, as we saw previously. So the knight holds its own. The star move is knight g6. However, in the game, Teichmann erred by playing king d6. And Alain's response, the very natural looking king b5, repaid the favour, because now black can still carry out the defensive plan by playing either king d5 or knight g6 immediately. Instead of king b5, Alain had the opportunity to forge a beautiful win from this position. So what should he have played? Well, to discover the answer to this cliffhanger, you'll have to watch part 2.